All right, and welcome back. Meet the candidate, each candidate for parish president. We give them 21 minutes because it's only fair that everybody should be able to express their views on our channel. Joining us now is Shari Champagne. Now, depending on where you are, Champagne is champagne. So I'm going to let you tell the audience. You go by Champagne, but some people say differently.
Absolutely. And it mostly depends on where I am. Past Highway 90, it is Champagne. However, when I'm here, it is absolutely Champagne. And I mean, a lot of my friends and my old timers, they're like, do not say Champagne around me. You are a Champagne. So here I am, definitely a Champagne. Absolutely.
First of all, thank you for joining the race. I'd like to thank everybody because it takes a lot to jump in a parish president's race. What made you jump in?
It does, and thank you very much for allowing us to have this time to say what we feel like we need to say. Well, first of all, this is what I do. I mean, my community is very important to me. I work within the community, and I have for many years, probably 35 years at this point. I am within the school system. I am within the legal system. I am in the community, and I have my finger on the pulse of what the roundtable issues and things like that for the community. And so, being in the community and knowing what I feel I hear the people saying and what I feel like we need as far as the crime and the education and the roads and everything from the levies to all of the things that we have going on. Those roundtable issues are very important to me. And I feel like my voice can be heard much better if I have a seat at that table.
You've always been an activist in certain arenas. How'd you become an activist? Who instilled that in you?
Well, I am from a military family. Everyone in my family is what I call warrior. And there's a lot of fight in that family. And when you come from warriors, I guess you kind of, it's embedded in you to become a warrior. And so for myself, I was in the medical field for many years. I retired from the medical field, and I went into the community advocacy, child advocacy, victim advocacy, and in that you really do touch all aspects of the community and fighting for those who have no voice. That's what I do every day in this parish and across Louisiana, but mostly here. That's what I do is I'm fighting for whether it be an elderly or a child or we have so many issues within the school system that I am actively fighting now. I'm actively fighting for those who do not have a voice. And that basically is what I've done for nearly 30 years now.
You know, when we look at each parish president, and I can go back to my first one, Mayor Bubby Lyons, the parish president,
Right.
Bubby Lyons, and I could go through they all had their certain thing they wanted to do.
Yes.
We go to Barry Bonvillain's thing, he had 11B. We always talked about 11B. And everybody's left their mark. I don't care who they were in one way or another, they left their mark. Some had weaknesses, but a lot of them had a lot of strength. So he's still parish president. Dove has spent a lot of time on levees and water control structures and a lot on quality of life and things of that nature. What would you do? What would be your platform?
Well, I feel like mostly, much like when you talk about the outlays for the community, I believe that having that outlay for the community is important. And levies obviously are crucial for this area. We have we have raised our levies, and the initiative for the levies has been wonderful. And we also can't get lost in the weeds with doing one thing. So I believe that having those the projects that we want funded, per se, from the government, from the federal, from the state, I really do believe that it's important to have those projects project what the people need and all of those projects should be funded. And you have to fight for that, obviously. I am in that fight and ready to do that. And I believe that those projects should reflect what is best for the people, not a person. And I believe that is crucial. Obviously, having an amazing levee system is crucial. We obviously need to make sure that that plan stays in place. We build on that. We must have safe levees. There's absolutely, without levees, we have no Houma. So that is crucial in making sure that those projected plans get funded. We have to make sure that that capital outlay plan, that we make sure that that is productive for the actual community in which we live, and that we're prepared to fight for that that and whatever that is. And like I said, fiscally responsibly, I believe that those projects and that outlay plan should produce projects that are beneficial to the people of the parish.
I always tell people that without levies, we can forget about a lot of other projects because, you know, and it's unfair that our insurance is regulated by the fact that they still recognize us as not having levies.
Yes.
And we have a tremendous amount of levies. So what would you do to make sure insurance companies know, hey, we do have levies and you're treating us like we don't, but you need to be fair? What kind of voice would you bring to that?
Well, obviously, with the insurance commissioners and the process that it takes to ensure that we, as a people, get those insurance rates under a reasonable amount of money for all of the residents. But that fight doesn't stop here in the parish. We have to take that to legislation. We have to be prepared to fight that fight. And we have to be prepared to make them understand that these levies are what they are, what our projected plan is for where they will be. And we have to be able to persuade those who do not agree with changing that outlook. We have to be able to persuade them to do what we need done instead of say, oh, well, we can't do that because of this. We need to persuade them to make them do it and to bring those insurance prices down. Because as of right now, I mean, much like anyone else, myself, homeowners insurance is outrageous. And many of those folks do not have the ability to proceed with buying a home because of that. And so I believe that if we fight that fight, and the insurance commissioner, we have to be prepared for legislation to go in with that fight to make that change for everyone in this parish and really across Louisiana.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back with Miss Shari Champagne, and we're going to talk some more. We have 2 more segments. She's running for parish president of Terrebonne Parish. We'll be right back. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality. All right, welcome back. 21 minutes. All parish president candidates get 21 minutes to tell you about themselves and their platform. Shari Champagne is our guest today. And Shari, let's turn to permitting. Right now, Terrebonne Parish permits within.
Right.
They have their own department.
Right.
They regulate things. Some parish presidents did that. Former parish presidents went outside the box to South Central Planning or other means which they may choose to look into. Parish president gets to make a lot of decisions.
Right.
What would Shari Champagne do?
So in my administration, I believe that the permits department is crucial. The zoning, the planning is crucial. I won't get into weeds with the zoning department currently, but I would absolutely, I believe that being the parish president, you should have your finger on the pulse of what planning and zoning is doing. And if it stays in-house, you should absolutely know what and how effective your planning and zoning is. Currently, in Terrebonne Parish, we absolutely need to change the planning and zoning, whether it be in or out, whether we have an inside or an outside. It absolutely needs to be more effective. We cannot have a planning and zoning department without hands-on, because as parish president, I want to know what is going on, whether we source that out or whether we do it in-house. It is crucial that we have that information. So if I were to source it out and I didn't believe that my zoning department was doing an adequate job in protecting the parish, which I'm dealing with right now, I believe that if we source that out or if we have it in-house, we have to do more to make sure that whomever it is, whether they be sourced out or in-house, is effective. And right now, we are not seeing a lot of that within our planning and zoning. And we have a lot of issues that I hear about where Tommy down the street has to have a permit for his driveway. but we do not have permits for our 5G towers that are going up in town. So we have to correct that, right that ship, and make sure that whomever it is, whether it's sourced out or in-house, is effective and fiscally responsible, of course. But we have to make sure that planning and zoning is actually in charge of the public safety in this parish. So a lot of the things that are going on in this parish must go through planning and zoning. So we have to have full accountability for planning and zoning. And we are not seeing that currently. So that would definitely be something that I would change probably day one.
Right. And you're talking about, so planning, if I'm hearing you correctly, needs to be expanded, more broad-based.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that planning and zoning's the responsibility obviously is much larger than we see right now. And with having an effective planning and zoning, the safety of the parish, you will actually see the differences in what we're seeing. Right now, when we have a planning and zoning issue, whatever that may be, we're going to essentially one person. And that one person is essentially in charge of everything. And as I said, if you have someone who needs a very simple permit for a construction, and that is made to be, we must have that. However, if something that is dangerous to the public, or much like these 5G towers, that is one of my huge topics right now in Terrebonne Parish, and we're not permitting these or having regulation, there needs to be that consistency. We have to have consistency. If we have to have a permit for a driveway, we absolutely should make and enforce the telecom companies to have those proper regulatory permits in place that protect the public. So of course, planning and zoning is much more than just a permit for a driveway.
Okay. So let's talk about recently, I think about especially Parish President Dove, been through COVID, been through Hurricane Ida. Worst storm we've ever seen since we've been open for, nearly 40 years. COVID was just a very tense time for everyone. How would you handle COVID, and how would you have handled Hurricane Ida?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a constitutionalist. I am a firm believer in the Constitution, and I live the Constitution. I do not believe that our rights are ever negotiable, and I do not believe in mandates or shutdowns. Under my administration, there would never be any type of mandate or shutdown in this parish. And also with the COVID response, we have to be very effective in understanding what regulation, mandates, and law mean. And under the law, we have to be very conscientious about the Constitution. So when we have COVID and we lock down, like many of the other people, we have lost many of our businesses due to COVID, shutdowns and mandates. And when that happens, you have to have someone in place that says, these are my people and I'm going to protect them. And so with the COVID shutdowns and mandates, and I would absolutely follow the Constitution, and I would ensure that the safety of the public was number one. Now with Ida, many of our residents were completely devastated, myself included, my family, my children. And the day that Ida came in, we buried my granddaughter. And that being one of the most devastating things that you can ever have happen in your life, I also knew that when we got back within hours, myself and my family hit the ground and we started the recovery. And the recovery is basically being there for the people, getting their needs met no matter what that is. And that was a 24 hours a day job, making sure that, the residents had what they needed. And I was a source, not just myself, but my family was the source that so many hundreds of thousands of people, not just here, but the bayous and things like that, had that in their hand, that they knew someone was there to help them. So following the Constitution for me through any type of a pandemic or an epidemic or anything that requires government overreach, being a constitutionalist, that is something that I would absolutely make sure that my people understood that I follow the Constitution to the word, and that's what I would do for my people as well.
All right, let's hold that thought. We're going to be right back with Miss Shari Champagne, and she is a candidate for parish president. We'll be back with our last segment. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. All right, welcome back for our last segment with Miss Shari Champagne, candidate for parish president here in Terrebonne Parish. Talk about recreation. Everybody's got a different spin on recreation. If you were elected parish president, what would recreation look like under your administration?
I believe that recreation obviously is for the children and the families of Terrebonne Parish, and making sure that recreation is an abundance. So we should ensure that each district and each precinct has an effective recreation, whether it be a gym or facilities or a park, that it is well maintained, and all of those, the funding that comes through the recreation department. We also have an abundance of, let's just say, surplus in one area, and we may not have surplus in another. And I know that there's an issue with the recreation previously and recently with, should we merge and should we use this surplus from this district, and we may not have a surplus in another district. And so that controversy often kind of gets lost in the weeds as well, because we do have a surplus in some areas and we don't in others. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that each recreation area, whether that be in Dularge or in Houma, that we equally use the funding responsibly. That funding it should be used responsibly for whatever district it is. And so I believe that the recreation department should be topic. It should be priority, because this is what we do. The children of our community are important. So I believe that we have to be fiscally responsible with the money that we already have, and we should make sure that that responsibility is basically it's dispersed amongst the children and the recreation department in each area.
So if I hear you correctly, give them an opportunity to do their own planning and everything else, but oversight. Absolutely,
yes. And just ensure that all of those, the funding, and whether it be equipment and whatnot, is used in whichever district it's supposed to be used in, fiscally responsible. And there was a lot of controversy about the merge, and I believe that a lot of those issues are relevant. And I do believe that a surplus in one and maybe not in another, merging the two, I think, was the issue. And I do believe that there may be an alternative to that, and just ensuring that the recreation department is successful.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes people see the school board in Terrebonne Parish. They are two different entities. They're two different budgets, two big budgets. Do you see any marriage between the two, or not necessarily fiscally, because they're controlled differently, but idea-wise?
I do believe, because when we deal with the school board, which is another one of the fights that I have been in, I say fights, but I protect the children. And with everything that we have going on in the schools with inappropriate curriculum and all of the stuff that we have going on, obviously, if we have funding coming from the more than $200 million that taxpayers pay in Terrebonne Parish, we should be able to use the school board, the funding for the school board, and we should be able to ensure that the parish and the school board are, like you said, they're married. And because we use taxpayers' dollars, I believe that the taxpayers should have the equal amount of input, per se, for the funding that we either allow for the school board, or that we allow them we merge together, or we marry together, and we make sure that we run this district much like we run everything else, including the school board, because my administration will have hands-on within the school board, within the rec department, hands-on, me there, making sure that everything that the people wish is what we're doing. And if that means that making sure that the school board and the parish, we are separate, but we also are one, because we're using the same funds that the taxpayers actually give us to use.
What would a Shari Champagne administration look like? Sort of paint a picture for me.
I believe that being a parish president is obviously a huge undertaking. However, I have been within this community, and I have worked with every single district within this parish. I know all of the terrible things that we have to deal with. I know about the the crime, and we are much involved in the school districts, and we are much involved with all of the things that we have going on. And for me, I am hands-on. I am a problem solver and mostly a multitasking monster. So all of the things that I see that need to be done that I am currently fighting right now for the people of Terrebonne Parish, that is exactly what I will do every single day. Go to work and make sure everything is done for the people and not essentially the politicians.
Yeah. And just real quick, we have about a minute left. And when did you decide? How did you decide? And was it just a spur of the moment thing? Said, okay, I'm ready to go.
Very strange question, because this is exactly why I'm running, because I have been in the fight in this parish to make changes. Many of the things in this parish that I believe should change, I have met a brick wall. Recently, within the school board, I'm fighting the school board for the curriculum. I'm fighting the parish for the unsafe 5G towers in the parish. I am fighting all of these. I'm fighting in legislation right now to prevent all of the issues coming into our schools. We have to prevent them. So I'm fighting around the entire spectrum, and that's what it will look like. Everything combined, I will fight for the people of the parish and make sure that they understand that that's what I'm doing.
All right, Shari, thanks again for running. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being on Bayou.
I appreciate being here. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Shari Champagne, another candidate for parish president. And we'll be back. Don't go away, a lot more around the corner.